What if I told you there exists a secret diary of the human soul? A collection of texts so raw, so emotionally honest, that they chronicle every shade of human experience, from the darkest pits of despair to the most transcendent moments of awe. This isn't a lost text hidden in a forgotten cave. It's one of the most famous books on earth, hidden in plain sight. We call it the Book of Psalms, but we have been taught to see it as a collection of gentle hymns, sung by a pious shepherd boy. The truth is far more complex, more violent, and infinitely more fascinating. These are not just prayers. They are secret charters for coronations, desperate pleas from the battlefield, angry cries for justice from the oppressed, and meditative poems forged in the crucible of national collapse and exile.
Welcome to Secrets of the Ancients, where ancient mysteries awaken.
C.S. Lewis touched upon a core truth. To understand the Psalms, we have to look beyond the words on the page. We have to find the people who wrote them. This video will not be a simple reading of these ancient poems. This is an archaeological dig into the human heart. We will unearth the history, the politics, and the personal crises that gave birth to the most powerful prayers ever written. We will use the timeless words of the Psalms as our map, but our destination is the world behind the text. Together, we will decode the spiritual DNA of the ancient world, and we begin by shattering the biggest myth of all. For centuries, the story of the Psalms has been intertwined with one legendary figure, King David, the shepherd boy who became a king, the musician who could soothe a troubled soul with his harp. We picture him on a tranquil hillside composing Psalm 23, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." This image is powerful, it's comforting, and for the most part it's a myth. While David was undoubtedly a historical figure and a patron of the arts, critical scholarship has revealed a far more complex origin story. Of the 150 Psalms, fewer than half are even attributed to him. Others bear the names of mysterious figures like Asaph, the sons of Korah, and even Moses. Many are completely anonymous. The bigger revelation is this. The Book of Psalms, as we know it, wasn't a single book written by one man in the 10th century BCE. It is a greatest hits collection, an anthology meticulously compiled, edited, and arranged centuries later, primarily during the Second Temple period, after 516 BCE. After the Babylonian exile, the nation of Judah needed to rebuild not just its temple, but its very identity. The Psalms became their official hymnbook and prayer book, a curated collection designed to tell the story of their nation, their God, and their turbulent relationship. Each of the 5 books within the Psalms was likely added over time, reflecting the changing needs of a community grappling with trauma and hope. This process is remarkably modern. Think of how a nation today curates its identity. We have national anthems, folk songs, and official stories that we tell ourselves to create a sense of shared purpose. Think of the Great American Songbook, a collection of popular songs from the early 20th century that, taken together, tells a story of American optimism, struggle, and change. The Book of Psalms was Israel's songbook. It was a tool for forging cultural memory. By collecting these ancient songs from different eras, from royal courts, from prophetic guilds, from common folk, the editors of the Second Temple period were essentially asking, "Who are we now that we have returned?" And the answer was found in these timeless poems. If we believe the Psalms are only songs of praise, we've missed their heart. The single largest category of psalms is the lament, the cry of despair. These are dark, challenging and profoundly human poems. Psalm 22 cries out, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Psalm 88, perhaps the darkest chapter in the Bible, ends with the line, "The darkness is my closest friend." This is not the gentle shepherd on the hill. This is the cry of a soul in the abyss. But this is not simply chaotic venting. The ancient Israelite lament had a sophisticated structure, a kind of spiritual courtroom argument. It typically follows a pattern: address. You call God by name. Complaint. You tell him exactly what's wrong, often in graphic detail. Petition. You tell him what you want him to do about it. Expression of trust. Crucially, you end by reaffirming your belief in his goodness, even if you can't see it now. This structure is powered by a literary engine completely alien to most Western poetry: Hebrew parallelism. Instead of rhyming sounds, the Psalms rhyme ideas. Synonymous parallelism. The second line repeats the idea of the first. The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. Psalm 19:1. Antithetic parallelism. The second line contrasts with the first. For the Lord watches over the way of the righteous, but the way of the wicked leads to destruction. Psalm 1:6. Synthetic parallelism. The second line builds upon or completes the first. I have installed my king on Zion, my holy mountain. Psalm 2:6. This technique creates a meditative, rhythmic, and deeply resonant form of poetry that builds in emotional and theological intensity. This ancient structure is a blueprint for modern mental health. In a world that often demands toxic positivity, the laments give us divine permission to be broken. They validate our anger, our sadness, our doubt, and show us how to bring those raw emotions into a spiritual context. The lament is a form of ancient therapy. The structured argument with God mirrors a modern cognitive behavioral therapy session, where a patient identifies a problem, expresses their feelings about it, and works toward a resolution or a change in perspective. The Psalms teach us that faith is not the absence of darkness, but the ability to cry out from within it. Some Psalms feel different. They feel older, more universal. Psalm 104 is a majestic hymn to creation, describing a God who wraps himself in light as with a garment and sets the earth on its foundations. It praises a creator God whose work transcends the story of any single nation. Where did this grand, cosmic vision come from? This brings us to one of the most intriguing and, for some, controversial discoveries in biblical scholarship. The ancient Israelites did not live in a vacuum. They were part of a vast, interconnected world of ideas, and their literature reflects this. Scholars have found stunning parallels between Psalms and the texts of their powerful neighbors. The most famous example is Psalm 104, which bears an undeniable structural and thematic resemblance to the much older Egyptian great hymn to At, a poem from the reign of the pharaoh Akhenaten. Both texts praise a single creator God, following the same sequence of creation and using strikingly similar imagery. Other psalms show echoes of Mesopotamian wisdom literature and Canaanite hymns discovered in the ancient city of Ugarit. This does not mean the psalms were plagiarized. It means the Israelite authors were masters of inculturation. They took familiar literary forms, poetic structures, and even specific phrases from the surrounding cultures and repurposed them, infusing them with their unique, radical monotheistic theology. They entered the great cultural conversation of their day and argued for the supremacy of their God using the language everyone understood. This is exactly how art and culture have always worked. Bob Dylan took old folk melodies and infused them with modern, surreal poetry. Early rock and roll artists took the structure of the blues and supercharged it with new energy. Hip-hop was born from sampling and remixing funk and soul records. Culture is a remix. Great art is often born from a conversation with what came before. Realizing that the psalmists participated in this process makes them more real, more brilliant, and more connected to the world, not less. It shows a faith confident enough to engage with the outside world and transform it. So, what have we discovered on our journey into the heart of the Psalms? We've learned that they are not the diary of a single man, but the curated soul of a nation. We've seen that their true genius lies not in serene praise, but in their brutal, structured honesty about pain and doubt. And we've realized they were part of a dynamic conversation between cultures and empires. But what is the final secret they hold for us today? The grand lesson of the Psalms is this: divine art is forged in the crucible of human experience. Their power, their immortality, comes from the fact that they are unflinchingly, breathtakingly human. They teach us that our moments of political crisis, our seasons of personal depression, our confusion, our rage, our questions, these are not obstacles to a spiritual life. They are the very raw material of it. The psalmists did not find God by escaping the world, but by wrestling with Him in the mud and blood of history. They give us a language for our own suffering and a blueprint for our own hope. They show us that the most profound prayer is not one that has all the answers, but one that dares to ask the hardest questions. And so, the final question is not about their ancient origins, but about their modern residence. The real question is, which psalm speaks most powerfully to your human experience? Which one tells the secret story of your own soul? Thank you for joining us on this journey at Secrets of the Ancients. If you found value in this investigation, please like, share, and subscribe. And let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Walk in wisdom.